Boar's Head invites you to enlighten your senses. Introducing Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. Inspired by Japanese master chefs, our signature teriyaki glaze is crafted with garlic, ginger, and a hint of brown sugar, then paired with our tender, slow-roasted chicken breast for a flavor that's sweet, savory, remarkably bold. Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken, the bold flavor of Japan, now at the deli. Compromise elsewhere.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, folks. It's Chris Daly here, and it's great to be with you once again. And as usual, we find some outstanding Jamaicans who are doing game-changing things, and tonight is no different. Tonight, it's our privilege to enter into conversation with Karlene Robinson. She's been dubbed the Queen of Business Finance. This is because of her best-selling work, the author of Spank the Bank. It's a guide to find alternative business financing in these tough times. She's considered one of the most foremost experts in alternative business financing for startup companies, small businesses, and struggling entrepreneurs. She's also a speaker, instructor, business consultant, and she's a principal of the KSR Solutions Limited Corporation. Her office is based in Northern Virginia. She's originally from Montego Bay, and Karlene is a wonderful wife, and she's the mother of two great children. To do the interview tonight is my partner, Janice Maxwell. Janice, take it away.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Karlene, it is definitely a pleasure to have you spend some time with us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So share with us a little bit about your Jamaican roots.
Well, originally from Montego Bay, attended high school and started my entrepreneurial career in Jamaica, and then I ended up migrating a number of years ago. And so Jamaica for me is the place to be. Montego Bay, I really love it there, and so whatever I can do to give back to my community through whatever capacity I can, I need to do so.
Let's see. You know, you've been dubbed the Queen of Business Finance. How'd you get that title?
Wow. The title really came about due to my persistent approach to helping business owners. And then one of my mentors in the industry, he just started calling me that, and I guess it just stuck around, you know. It stayed with me.
Okay, that sounds good. So, tell me, who are your role models in terms of your career path?
You know, interestingly enough, there isn't any one specific person. It's more, honestly, it's more so the issue of what I saw happening in my industry, in transitioning to my entrepreneurial career path that I've taken. I've seen the critical need.
Your industry in Jamaica was what, tourism? Farming?
Actually, I was in the preschool market, and I was a teacher first, worked as a preschool teacher, and I was in the entrepreneurial market of sales, desktop publishing, that type of stuff.
I see.
Yeah.
So let's just share a snapshot and how business financing has evolved out of the aches of this great economic meltdown in 2008.
Wow. Yes. The evolution of business financing in the past 5 years tells the story, really, that when there's a major problem, individuals and companies and other sources will find creative ways to fix this problem. You know, back in 2008, a financing option such as crowdfunding was not born yet. Peer-to-peer lending was literally in its infancy. And, you know, the introduction of, like, revenue-based financing to the market says a whole lot about traditional financing as it stands today. So a major shift. People are not thinking the same. It's now outside the box way of looking at how to finance a business.
Yeah, and being Jamaican, we have to do that sometimes because depending on where you are in the island, you will have to be creative. But
definitely,
business folks, business folks have been creative to thrive. Why don't you give us a major ways folks are turning to their financing in their place?
Well, remember, I mentioned before such option as crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending. Those are a couple options that are really huge in the market right now. However, you have microloans. And for those of you who don't know what crowdfunding is, it's a process where we get a crowd to finance an idea or a project or you have that particular item you want to get to market, but you're not sure. That's one way to finance it. And then you go to a peer-to-peer lending group that could potentially make it happen where, based on what you're offering, they like it, they finance it. That's a direct loan, whereas the crowdfunding option is more so people doing pre-sales. They're buying into what you are offering before you create the full market of products. However, going back to traditional ways, people have to get serious about how they're going to finance their business if they can't get a bank loan. And so in Jamaica, we know we have such things as like Partner. That's a matter of fact, Partner is part of the foundation for peer-to-peer lending. It's just what they did was they took it online instead. And so that's what, some of the ways that people can consider how to fund their business and look at what's happening in Jamaica and, the Caribbean market as to how to use such options as factoring, where they sell their receivables if they're doing business with the government or business to consumer. And just looking at how they do business, that is going to determine.
Although the majority of the people who listen to our radio program are Jamaican, we do have more of an international market. So could you tell the audience just a little bit about what Partner is, because they may not understand.
Okay, so basically, right. A matter of fact, in my classes, I talk about this all the time because Partner is not just happening in Jamaica or in the Caribbean. It's actually happening worldwide, where it's a community of people coming together to help each other. And so, let's take 10 people come together. We put $100 in or whatever that amount is that was, selected to give on a weekly basis or a monthly basis and put into a pot, and one person gets it until it cycles through, that everyone in the group gets that exact amount of money that they paid in, whether it's, over a length of 10 weeks or 10 months or a year. So it boils down to, a community of people seeing that, okay, I need some money. I want to buy, whether I'm buying furniture for my house or I'm going to, buy that equipment for my new business. I need a new vehicle and I need a down payment to get that business off the ground. How are we looking at taking, that creative way of financing that business? So Partner, it's not just in Jamaica or in the Caribbean. In Africa, you have such name as Susu in Ghana and other European and
I think
Asian
in Trinidad they call
countries.
And in Trinidad, I think they call it Partner. But let's get back to some of the things in your book. You have written, in your book that you've written, it has a very, very provocative title called Bank the Bank.
Well,
what motivated you to author this work?
Okay, first and foremost, Janice, I have to say this. I did not title the book. Interestingly enough, when I first saw the title, I literally got sick. I am not kidding you when I say this. I got sick because I said to my editor, "Are you serious? We're going to take on the banks? Are you crazy?" And he said, "Karlene, what have you been doing? You're showing people how to get creative in financing their business. You've been at it for so many years, and people need this information. Get it out there. Let's make it happen." As a matter of fact, this is my second book. And so this evolved from my first book, and with working with business owners and students and, actually being the finance director for a major organization in the area, the Washington metropolitan area that I now live, it has been my gosh, there is such a big need, and not just around financing, but the issues affecting businesses. So it's not just a financing book. It is a book to guide people through all the different areas, the different hats they might have to wear as a business owner. So you have, from personal issues, you have the legal issues, you have the marketing issues, and all of this plays into, okay, can I make the sales? Am I cash flowing enough to keep my business operational? Do I have the credit, the collateral, you name it, to make it work? And so,
and what I really like about this book is that your book is that you have some these charts, like alternative financing evaluation, the pro forma cash flow sample, and I think that this is really good because it's not just dry reading. I mean, I enjoyed your book because it was a fast read, and it wasn't just, the fact of the matter is that your book has a lot of diagrams and examples and even references that you could supplement this. So this is, it was well written. You did a good job.
Quite honestly, my thought process when I look at a business owner as I take them through the stages, whether they're, in business already and have all these issues or they're starting up, we want them to transition through each phase as easily as possible, knowing what the issues are and how they should address them and keep themselves out of trouble. I mean, I see too many of them going to prison for reasons that they shouldn't be going to prison for. However, my point is in getting this work out there is to help those that used to say to me and those that don't know me right now that where were you when I needed help? Where were you when, this was going on? Or, my gosh, nobody has written anything on this type of way of helping a business owner, financing a business. And that's actually part of how it came about because people were asking these same exact questions. Yeah.
So what can folks expect to gain from this fine work?
Well, real-life experiences for sure. No questions asked. It is important that people know that they're not the only ones in the boat that they're in right now. There are definitely creative solutions that are not just within the North American market. A lot of the options that are talked about can be used literally anywhere in the world that your country does business with. And it helps you to get creative, to think outside the box, because what people fail to understand is that, okay, they know they walk into the bank, whether they're in Jamaica, in Canada, the U.S., wherever, if they get the funding, great. What that funding is going to do is tie up literally what they're doing, what their capital, collateral, all that is tied up. However, I'm showing them, look, here are some ways that if you use one option over here, you could still potentially be free to use something else on the other side to help your business as you're transitioning through growth or survival. And so it's not just a financing book, and it's not just a book to go get the banks. It's a book to actually help people to become bankable.
Right. I like that. So, among other things, what kind of folks have been soaking up this wisdom?
Oh, definitely. Small business owners, startups, people who are actually considering starting up a business. So I remember having two conversations before this book went to the publishers with two really key sources. And they both were saying, Karlene, you need to seriously think about, are you dealing with the startup market at a certain level or the pre-startup, you name it. What is interesting is that we can target whatever market we want to target. However, from where I sit, my market is money. And who needs it? Everybody, right?
Yeah.
So how do you target one type of a business owner when everybody needs money? So my market is money. People needed money.
People need money, and to say that, your book is aimed at small enterprises for now. But could small nations benefit from some of these principles shared, like Jamaica?
Great question, Janice. Absolutely. Every country has a process for individuals starting a business. They have tax, personal, operating, and other type of government laws or governing laws. And so there are obligations that business owners must adhere to. If not, what's going to happen? Businesses are not going to thrive. Employment will drop, causing reduced consumer spending and more. I mean, look at what's going on around the world. This is a cycle within every country that helps to make up the world economy. What we have to help in whatever way we can to make a difference.
Yeah. So beyond the book, you also lecture and you consult. What can folks expect using these other means of accelerating their learning?
Again, great question. Individuals really...
Thank you. I so appreciate you like my questions.
Definitely. Well, seriously, individuals considering starting up a business, and current entrepreneurs, for that matter, must consider accelerating their learning process through technical training, using those types of institutions, organizations, or other entities created to help them curb, the failure rate. When we have businesses going out of business, what happens? Nobody's hiring. All right? So nobody's spending. Those people who would get employed can't spend. So it is a cycle. It is a cycle within a cycle, and we need to help them get smart about the different hats that a startup business, small business entrepreneur needs to wear to keep that business productive, cash flowing, you name it, making the money that they want to make, and then moving on to starting other businesses. So it is important that we help them, expose them to valuable training, and get them the help that they need.
Okay, so now I want you to look into your crystal ball, okay, and share what the landscape of financing will look like in, say, 5 years.
Wow. Janice, I really wish I had a crystal ball, but this is what I see right now. Looking at what has happened in the past 5 years, with the fact that there is still a major issue of access to capital for business owners, and also the added fact that people's trust level, where the banks are concerned, the banking system, it tells its own story. This is not just happening in the U.S. or in Jamaica. It is a worldwide issue. And so I must say this. There are going to be more revolutionary ways for people to access financing. The banking system will not be the same as it is today.
Hopefully not, because the banks are
it's already changing. It's already changing.
And collapsing.
We might even see some of these banks closing. Just look at what's happened in Cyprus in the past few weeks.
Yeah.
Again, I've mentioned the word cycle quite a few times tonight, and I guess that's my word for this interview. However, things cannot continue as it used to be. It just can't. And then also, this is the other thing. Individuals are getting savvier about money, and they're getting smart in how they use it. Not withholding. They don't want to hold debt as they used to anymore, which is also now affecting the credit market. I'll give you an example. So take, for instance, a website called lendingclub.com, and folks can go and check that website out. They've loaned out to the tune of $1.56+ billion as of last Thursday. I can tell because I was teaching a class that day, so we had to check it. With that said, $500+ million of that was done since November 5th, and that's no more than $35,000 in U.S. dollars per loan. That's just one website. There are others out there. People are using Kiva, where individuals are financing individuals around the world. There's Indiegogo.com, where people are helping crowdfund other entities, other people needing access to money. So when there is a squeeze in one area, when that squeeze is such, it affects so many people, what do you think is going to happen? Somebody, some creative genius, as I like to put it, is going to come up with something that is going to make a difference.
Right.
Because they're seeing that need, the crisis.
Right. The crisis creates opportunity.
Oh,
always.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Without this, a matter of fact, this was what happened back in 2008 when the market started plummeting. The third quarter into fourth quarter in 2008. My husband looked at me and said, "You better get with writing that book, finishing it, because I had already started. Get with it, or forget about it." And when I saw what was happening in January thereon, I wrote the first book, got it done, and so people are still asking. They're hungry. People want they want solutions. They need help. And interestingly enough, I need to tell you this, Janice. I don't know if you know this. Jamaicans are more likely to create a business anywhere else in the world that they go. Do you realize how entrepreneurial we are?
Well, I think it's just the immigrant drive,
No, it's not. It's not just the immigrant drive. Take a look at what we do in Jamaica. Everywhere you go, there is someone selling something in Jamaica.
Trying to create money.
Yes.
Yeah, there are some couple of ideas. But
right.
Finally.
So we need to figure out how to help create ways to get people trained and get people to understand how to operate a business effectively and get them to being successful. And not just thinking within Jamaica, thinking how you can do this on a global scale.
Right. So finally, are there any words of wisdom as we close?
Words of wisdom. Let's put it this way. People must get real about money. They need to understand their money habits. They need to look at their past history, if necessary, going back to their childhood and addressing how their parents and those around them influence their money habits and attitudes, how those folks talked about money. They need to face this type of mindset in how they're going to overcome their money phobias and looking at it as a tool to be used wisely. They need to start reading books that's going to enhance their mindset. They need to look at... And we
definitely want them to read Spank the Bank, eh?
Yes, and not just my book. No, interestingly enough, this is something that has they've done some testing on. When you look at the TV screens in your home to the bookshelves that you have in your home, and if your TV screen size exceed the bookshelves that you have at home, we have a problem. If we're not reading or even listening to, let's say we go the audio route, we're not listening to those types of important type of information going in. So if we're putting garbage in, what do we get out?
Right,
our brain is a computer. We need to be putting good stuff in. And so for those of us who want to understand why certain things aren't happening, we need to go back to looking at how we were raised, addressing those issues. For a matter of fact, a big key piece of this, interestingly enough, is how we forgive the people who affected us when we were young. Even today.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to grow. Yeah,
right.
So to learn more about Chris Daly, we can visit Let's Get Mobile and Social. To learn about Jamaican Diaspora, visit Jamaican Diaspora. And Karlene, how can we find you?
Definitely. You can find me online via spankthebanknow.com. That's my website. Or you can find me online at Twitter at Karlene.
And what's your handle?
Karlene, Karlene, SINROB. And as I always say, people, you can just Google my name, Karlene Robinson.
There you go. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. You have a good evening now.
Thank you.
Bye
you
now.
too. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Bye-bye.
When you don't don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.
Boar's Head invites you to enlighten your senses. Introducing Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken. Inspired by Japanese master chefs, our signature teriyaki glaze is crafted with garlic, ginger, and a hint of brown sugar, then paired with our tender, slow-roasted chicken breast for a flavor that's sweet, savory, remarkably bold. Boar's Head Ichiban Teriyaki-style chicken, the bold flavor of Japan, now at the deli. Compromise elsewhere.